Welcome to Resilience Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Ostrolenk. This show is about building better humans, institutions, and systems. On the show, I'll be interviewing many different experts from across many different fields, including human optimization, health and fitness, team building, mind-body medicine. In the institutional space, we're looking at different institutions and how we can create new ones, new models and maps, including in medicine, in education, in intelligence community, in law enforcement, in the military, especially in the special operations community. Thanks for being here and enjoy the show. Today's guest is Laurie Kaplan, RDN, LD. Laurie is a registered dietitian nutritionist and licensed dietitian with advanced training in evidence-based nutrition, metabolic health, and clinical application. Her work focuses on translating nutritional science into practical, individualized strategies that support physiological function, energy regulation, and long-term health outcomes. Today's conversation will explore nutrition through a clinical and systems-based lens, looking at how food, metabolism, and lifestyle intersect to influence performance, recovery, and resilience across a lifespan. Good to see you, Laurie.
Good to see you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Apologize for the many delays in having this happen, but definitely good that this is happening now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want to jump into talk about nutrition and where we're at in this country, in this world, and all kind of really cool advances that you're part of.
Yeah.
Before we get there, tell me about Laurie Kaplan. Like, what led you to be interested in resilience and human optimization and human health? And of course, you got to throw in some of your great stories about Mongolia and Chile and all the cool stuff.
Yeah, the crazy things that part of me. So my nutrition journey began kind of as a not as an accident so much, but I'd been working in the horse business for much of my career. Post-college, went to school for animal science with equine. Worked in that business for a while and wasn't really getting anywhere. I was riding and training and working at different barns, and I loved it. But I was getting, I don't want to say long in the tooth, but it was just getting to the point where making $100 a month working in a barn wasn't cutting it.
Fair enough.
I kind of looked at what my options might be to go back to school. What else could I do, but still stay in the horse industry, equine industry? And I thought, well, what about being a coach, a trainer for equestrian teams? So I thought of going back to school for nutrition and then looking for a job at a high-level equestrian team. I know what it's like to work in a barn. I know what it's like to ride multiple horses a day, the long hours, the physical nature of it. So I thought that would be a perfect match. So I went back to Michigan State, got a second degree, science in nutritional science, did my internship at University of Kentucky.
Nice.
And was going to start looking for jobs and then decided to join the Air Force. Yeah, because that's kind of me.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, signed up as a dietitian and was working in Andrews Air Force Base, actually during 9/11.
Oh, wow.
I was in D.C. at that time, so that was quite an experience.
We were down the street from each other, actually. That's when I was in D.C. as well.
Okay, yeah. So very unique occurrence, the unfortunate event. But as well, as soon as I joined the Air Force, I met my husband. So we were in officer boot camp together, which was, we actually probably weren't supposed to be together because he was a major and I was a 2LT. But we won't say anything about that. Anyway, and then we fell in love. I ended up moving to San Antonio to be with him, finished that portion of the Air Force. And then the nutrition, that idea was kind of set on the table because we started having kids and I was very much happily a mom.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, the story continues though.
Yeah.
You're still a mom. I know your
still
kids
a mom.
Your kids are out of the house.
Back into the nutrition. So I still had my degree. I kept my licensure current.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So every 5 years you have to do so many credits to remain licensed. And that was great. Kept going to meetings, staying involved a little bit. And then when the kids got really into high school, I was looking at, okay, I want to get this back into my life. So I actually did Ben Greenfield's coaching course.
I did not know that. Okay.
His
Cool.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
first iteration of the Keon coach. I think he
Yeah.
only did it for a few seasons, but it was great. And within that, I learned about doing your DNA, your personalized genomics. So I did that, and that is when everything changed, literally.
All right, you got to unpack that for us.
Yeah.
How did learning about yourself at the genetic level change everything for you?
Yeah. So part of it was like, okay, this explains everything. So I used the DNA company at that time. Actually, they were out of Canada. I think they still might be. And loved the whole process, loved learning about it, but it explained why I show up the way I do, why why I hold on to memories, why my stress lingers. I have a gene COMTAA,
Mm.
considered the slow variant. We call it the worrier. Now, I don't like to put, just bad or good on genes because there's always two sides to the coin. But it was like, oh, okay. I was going through hormonal transitions at the time, then knew how to deal with that better because I knew
Okay.
my genes, which was amazing. And it also gave me the strength to kind of re-tap into my attention on my own nutrition and own fitness. I stayed pretty fit, but sometimes silly foods creep in. I'll admit it when you've got kids. Um, so, and it gave me the strength, both mentally and physically, to understand I needed to move on from the marriage.
Okay. Well, before we kind of unpack that too, just for folks who are listening, who are like, I'm not really so familiar with genetic testing.
Yeah.
Could you walk through just a few things like what you might have learned about, like how you process caffeine and melatonin and saturated fats and like all those things that you'll learn if you get these kind of tests?
Yeah, so they're not diagnostic. These are
Mhm.
not genes that would diagnose cancer or any kind of diseases. Those are done in different kind of genetic testing, and that's not what. These are lifestyle genes that indicate the propensity of what could occur.
Mhm.
So for me, that COMT was huge. It's a very influential gene that crosses a number of pathways, significantly in our methylation, which is sort of a master gene function pathway in our bodies. And when you're not supporting that appropriately, perhaps by one of the big ones is stress management,
Mhm.
hormone metabolites, it's responsible for balancing that. So I was in like a whirlwind of stress and hormone
Mhm.
shifts. So understanding how to support that gene to work optimally
Yeah.
instead of more harmful, that helped. Very basic lifestyle things: sleep, better
Mhm.
food, not eating at night,
Mhm.
um, you know, alcohol consumption, and then just also learning to say no.
Okay. And the no was to in this case, one of the no's was to your marriage. Like it had
Yes.
come to an end.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, Before we hit, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit more, because like I know people, like it's interesting. We'll probably get into this. Like saturated fat, it's not the evil thing that people thought it was, and yet some people with APO 3/4 they don't
Right.
process saturated fat as well as others, and they have a higher propensity towards Alzheimer's disease. So like as one example, so could you just walk through just for the audience who like, okay, this is
Yeah.
really cool. What might I learn?
Yeah.
Caffeine and melatonin and saturated fat and how I do my carbs. I'll touch
Yeah.
upon a couple of those things if you don't mind.
So for me, it was interesting. I have genes that indicate I'm at higher risk of being obese,
Okay.
high blood pressure,
Okay.
elevated cholesterol,
Okay.
insulin resistance,
Wow.
So the whole gamut of what many people deal with, they're very common gene variants. And that's why we see them, the prevalence that we do, because they are lifestyle triggered. Just because you have that gene variant doesn't mean you're going to be obese. I've
Yeah.
never been obese. And yes, I've been active and healthy for most of my life, but sometimes those genes, they push it even with some of those things. So those are some big ones. The insulin resistance one, I started to pay attention much more to how many carbs am I having at a meal?
Okay. Nice.
Am I getting enough fiber? I checked my labs. Where am I at? What are my lipid particle sizes? Is my LDL elevated? ApoB elevated? And those are the ones that can be impacted by saturated fat.
Mhm.
And you're correct. Saturated fat is not good or bad. It's a molecule of fat.
Right,
It's
right,
not
right,
out
right.
to kill us. It doesn't wake up and say, I'm going to get you. It's just if we have too much and our body doesn't metabolize it, the liver doesn't metabolize it correctly, it can connect with some of those other particles. And that then can increase the risk of plaquing and cardiovascular disease.
Yeah. Right, right. It's really unfortunate because Dr. Dan, he's the one who told me I'm ApoE3, 4. I'm like, I do bulletproof coffee every morning. You shouldn't be doing bulletproof coffee every morning.
Nope. No.
Damn it, Dan.
Yeah, but you can put olive oil in your coffee.
Actually, it's funny enough, I literally just saw that a couple days ago as something to add
Yeah.
to my coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the form of fat that's better for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Another
so
one,
yeah,
another
yeah.
one that I want to touch on are the fitness genes.
Oh,
So when
great.
I look at somebody's report, there's 3 key sections that I look at right away. I also look at their lab markers, but just like a quick review. What am I going to focus on here? I look in their nutrition. That's going to tell me how they might handle carbs. Do we
Mhm,
have a diabetes risk?
mhm,
What are your fat metabolism pathways
mhm,
like?
mhm.
I look at your detox. That is
Okay.
extremely important. How much oxidative stress might you be creating because of some maybe slowdowns in your genetic pathways? Oxidative stress ultimately can lead to chronic inflammation.
Mhm.
That opens the door to a potential disease situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the fitness genes, because if you're working out against what your genes are saying, again, you might create more oxidative stress, more inflammation. Classic, you see a woman who's running on the treadmill for the rest of her life, and yet she's not losing the weight.
Right, right, right.
There may be a genetic component related in there along with hormones. So the cool thing that I saw is that I'm strong. I'm more power strength based.
Okay.
Um, I've got a lot of really supportive fitness genes, and
Wh
I
which
can
is
build muscle
yeah,
really easily.
which is great for you and we'll get into this soon with some of the
Yeah,
cool things around horses you've done around this world. But before we get there, so I appreciate you just kind of doing
yeah,
a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the things people can learn about when they check their genetics. But all right, so like, all right, one of your things is like, hey, boundaries. I got to say no, get out of the marriage. Okay,
mhm,
good.
mhm,
That's where you ended up. Awesome, good for you. And so, where did that then lead you in terms of like your
yeah.
explorations of health and fitness and things like that?
Yeah. So then I'm on my own. I was ready to work, and I became certified through a Puron in the epigenetic coaching. And
That's how we met, I believe,
that's
originally.
how we
Yeah.
met. Yeah. Yeah. And so I knew I wanted to get back into nutritional coaching. Once I learned the pairing of the DNA, it was really hard to do it without that. Because there's so much clarity there. Ultimately, it's one piece of our health picture, right?
Mhm.
It's not the end all be all, but it helped me clarify what macros might I help this person with, what neurotransmitter support, which is huge,
Oh yeah.
and how might this person be able to stick to a diet? Where do I need to support their detox? What do their sleep genes look like? Are they maybe sleeping for their wrong chronotype?
Mm.
Which
Say
has
more, say more about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so well, most of us have heard of like night owl or
Mm-mm.
morning lark. The, each of us, some people might be those. A lot of us are just kind of intermediary. So we can go to bed anywhere between sort of 10 and 12 and wake, 5 to 7. If you are a morning lark or a night owl, you want to try to adhere to those hours because your circadian genes, these really old clock genes, and there's some others, you're on that system, so your detox might happen a little bit later.
Yeah.
The glymphatic system, which is a clearing of the dead cells in your brain, that happens when we sleep. And if you are going to bed at the wrong time, that can be messed up. Cortisol can be impaired. That can lead to elevated blood glucose. So there's all these potential metabolic impact if you are not sleeping to your chronotype.
Right, right, right. Which is so amazing to think about. Like we have an individualized blueprint that if we
Yeah.
learn about, we can and we make better choices, we can actually optimize how we live our lives as best as possible. I mean, there are limitations, of course.
Yeah.
Yet science and medicine is, I mean, so seemingly outdated. Yeah, I'm reminded. You ever watch Star Trek?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when the one of the movies where they went back in time, the USS Enterprise, but it was like the 80s and the whale show, the whale.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So there's a scene where Bones is watching. He's on the USS Enterprise, but the aircraft carrier, not the starship, and he's watching a surgery, and they're actually like doing brain surgery. He's like, these barbarians
Yeah.
going into the
Yeah. Yeah.
brain,
Right.
instead of using the tricorder to fix everything. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
sometimes I look at our medicine that way. Like it's so. I mean, yeah, thank God we have it,
Sure.
but there's so many limitations, and I could imagine just the how much healthier we would be if people actually knew that their bioindividuality through genetic testing, and then
Yeah.
could make better decisions for them and their
Right.
families. Not this kind of
Right.
universal, everyone's the same, we should all do the same stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah. We are certainly not the same, and there's so much guesswork that goes on, and um, I'm certainly not against prescriptions in any way, but
Yeah, yeah.
just to give somebody a pill without really looking deep. Okay, what is actually happening here? Yes, you might need that prescription,
Yep, yep.
but perhaps there's some other things we could try before, or you may not need it.
Well, and I could imagine as we kind of learn more about epigenetics and genetic testing that you not only might let's just assume you need the pill for a short
Yeah.
period of time, but like when should you take it? Like we're learning
Yes.
more about that as well. And what
Yes.
should you take it with? I mean, because
Right.
like I remember it was maybe a decade or so ago, like don't eat these pills with grapefruit, like whatever the pills
Right.
were. I'm like, that's really good
Right.
to know. What else don't we know yet? Science is amazing. So we
Right.
can figure out if you have to take this pill, what do you not take it with? What do you take it with? And when do you take it? Like
Yeah.
the future's bright. This stuff
Well,
is so
and
cool.
thinking of that, supplementation,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Right, right.
huge, subject and mm, popular topic that everybody asks me about. The timing of it and the type. So B vitamins
Right, right.
are if you are taking the wrong type of B vitamin for your genes, you can actually do more harm.
Um,
My COMTAA, that slow variant, if I take too many methylated Bs, so methylfolate, methyl B12, it'll disrupt my sleep. It'll cause me anxiety,
anxiety.
gut, impairment.
Isn't some of this
And
put in our food though also, like universally?
folic acid is the
Okay,
synthetic form of folate,
okay,
and that's in foods with enriched flour,
okay.
cereals. It's always going to be on the label. So folic acid is something that you can look for and avoid. And I generally recommend avoiding that. The reasoning behind putting it into our food source was good in the 50s. It can reduce neural tube defects.
Mm.
Now that we understand the genetic pathways, we know that that form is not preferable for us.
Okay. I do want to continue down this path, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say, oh, before we do more health and wellness type stuff, you mentioned horses at the beginning. We got to bring
Yeah.
horses back in. Tell us a
Yeah.
little about some of the cool things you did, like down in Chile or
Yeah.
Mongolia.
Argentina. So, well, it's definitely related to doing my own genetics because that gave me the strength to leave a situation that was not healthy.
Healthy food.
It gave me the strength to get my health back, my confidence, and tapping back into the things that I love. I started riding horses when I was 5, and they are within me. I've just learned that I'm the year of the fire horse, which
Yes.
basically explains everything.
Yes.
Um, so I read The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. And he talks, yeah, amazing. Recommend it for everybody. He talks about this concept of the mizogi and Japanese idea with 2 tenets. You've got to 50% chance of completing it and don't die.
The latter one's a good one.
Yeah. So I thought, what would my
Uh-huh.
mizogi be? And I remembered hearing about this thing called the Mongol Derby, which is a 1,000-kilometer, 10-day horse race in Mongolia. I got on the website of the equestrianists and saw that they had a gaucho derby. And something that was very high on my bucket list is to ride horses in Patagonia.
Mm.
Almost did it before COVID, and then that didn't happen. So I signed up stepwise. I mean, it's huge. It's a 10-day, 500-kilometer race through the wilderness. You have to pack everything: tent, food, your jet boil, change of clothes, which doesn't happen often, and camp. And
Mhm.
there's 40 riders. They accept just 40 riders. Um, investment of significant financial investment along with time, and very difficult, unlike any riding I'd ever done. So I got in, I went, and it is hands down the best thing I've done in my life besides have my kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Your kids appreciate that.
Yeah. 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 The confidence it gave me, I mean, there were times I just, scared the shit out of me,
Mhm.
walking on the edge of a cliff, not knowing how we were going to get down. There were time penalties, so you had to stop riding. There were riding hours. If you
Mm.
rode past that time, you could be penalized and taken out of the race. So you really had to plan and li- yeah, so it was very intense, but I continue to go back to that race when I'm feeling anxious or worried. Am I going to get this done? How's this going to turn out? And I use that to say, well, I did that. I could
Yeah.
probably do
Anything.
anything else.
Oh, which is awesome, like a great anchor into your own power. What other
Yeah.
things did you learn about yourself doing that race?
Um,
Besides you're a badass.
uh, that I can laugh in the face of fear.
Nice.
And
Nice.
even though it was scary at times, indeed, I always you got a little scared, right? And then you look up and I saw the Andes. I'm galloping alongside the Andes
Nice. Nice.
with friends, with amazing other horse people. Um, so you just look around, and that took me out of my fear, and I just enjoyed it. Also the power of visualization. So I'd worked with a great trainer before I went, and she says, visualize the ride you want.
Nice. Okay.
Visualize the horse you want. Because a lot of these horses were pretty wild.
Mm.
So as I was training for the race, months leading up to it, I visualized my ride: calm, fun, light, smooth. And I never got bucked off or fell off, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Right.
yeah,
Right. But it's just amazing the power of the mind that
yeah,
you've shown that you have. You're
yeah,
capable.
yeah.
All right. So let's move from South America to Asia.
Okay. to Asia, Mongolia.
Let's talk
So
about
another
Mongolia.
one of the amazing things that came out of the race, many things, is the connection of people that I met. So Eric Cooper is the one who did my interview for the Gaucho Derby, and he basically runs both derbies. He also has sort of leisure, he calls them bougie trips, to Argentina, which I've done, and then Mongolia. So I signed up for one of his rides. This one was to ride the reindeer in the reindeer people land, which is extremely remote and requires days of off-roading in a truck and then hours of riding, just riding. And then there are the reindeer people, and you're not quite sure where they are because they're nomads. It's a
Mm.
Mongolian nomadic people. So you come upon them and there they are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did you learn? What sticks out for you about, first of all, about Mongolia, having been there?
Yeah. Well, it was beautiful. Kind of reminded me of Colorado.
Mm.
You know, it's traveling to these remote places, you realize it's not that the world is the same, but that you feel like, or I do at least, this unification of Earth.
Hmm. I
It's
love that.
cool. I mean, even like in South America, the Andes reminded me a little bit of the Rockies here and there, a little bit of the Alps here and there. You know, there's different ages within those mountains, but the world still feels huge, and yet there's a real connectedness to it.
Yeah.
I guess for me.
That's, I love that.
The people were amazing. Not much English speaking happening there, so that was interesting. The city was different because it was very Russian feeling because the
Mm.
Russians had been there.
Mm.
But then being out with the nomads was fantastic. And again, the day that I feel that I got the most out of it was the hardest day when we rode through cold rain and snow for hours.
Say more about that. Seems pretty
Well,
exciting.
because I did the Gaucho Derby to get uncomfortable,
Yeah, yeah,
right? To go to my edges. I want to go to my edges when I do these trips because that's where I feel like the growth comes from.
right.
We're all too comfortable too often.
Right.
And I like comfort, of course,
Mhm.
but that was extremely uncomfortable, but I knew it was going to end. I trusted in our guides, that we were going to end up, I wasn't going to die of hypothermia. There would be a warm fire eventually. And I tucked my hands onto my horse's body to keep
Okay.
them warm and just trusted the horse. And then I looked up and it started snowing in reindeer land as we got closer to the people. So here's people riding on reindeers in the snow. I mean, it still would have been beautiful without the snow,
Uh-huh.
but the snow just took it to another magic level.
That's awesome. All right, so you share some of the things you learned about yourself when you did the Chilean trip.
Mm.
Did anything different show up for you when you did the Mongolian trip?
Again, it's just trust.
Mm.
I really like these trips to get out of having everything planned out. And I'm pretty good at moving through flow. Um, but really just not having an agenda necessarily and being okay with that.
Okay, nice.
And the surprises and the humor and the curiosity of, well, I don't know, we're supposed to be there at 5, but we got there at 10 or whatever. And the things that happened along that time was
Right.
just part of the adventure. So really going through the flow, going with the flow, trusting, enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has that shown up in your life, your general life, not necessarily specifically when you go to Mongolia or Chile?
It's something that I focus on and seek. In fact, my word for this year is trust.
Yeah. Right.
Um, I do need a constant reminder because we do, especially back at home, you get caught in your, I got to do this and the bills and the whatnot. So that stress can impact that sort of carefree feeling. Um, so I use those trips to go back to that. I came back from that trip with this peaceful enthusiasm feeling,
I love that. Okay,
which
that's
was
really cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Have these trips influenced how you work with people in your nutrition work?
absolutely. Yes. It's given me a lot more confidence to coach.
Yeah.
Just being more comfortable with myself. I've now been doing the genomic coaching for 6 years. Read many reports within there, seen a lot of success, and also understanding people's fears. So when
Mm,
you're making health changes or decisions about your health, whether it's diet or fitness, we have the fear of failure. Many people have tried one thing or another. It hasn't worked, hasn't stuck. Um, so understanding where they're coming from and being able to support them appropriately.
nice, nice. That's awesome. So speaking of your coaching work, so walk me through, like someone calls you up and they're like, why do people call you up?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the conversation like, and what are the kind of the steps you take them through,
Yeah.
the lawyer process?
Yeah, the Laurie process. So I asked them, what are you looking for? Most people are looking for some weight loss.
Okay.
Some people are recovering from surgery or have some other health issues, maybe gut issues or autoimmune. So I really get a picture. What are you challenged by? What have you tried?
Okay.
What has not worked? And then we talk about that. Are you committed to this? I won't drag people.
I appreciate that.
I won't. I'm not going to force you to do something.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to expect you to eat something you don't like. If you don't like blueberries, I'm not going to make you eat blueberries. No, I call myself the joyful dietitian because there's so much joy in the food that we consume. And within that nourishment, we want to feel joyful about it. That can shift how our body absorbs it and utilizes the nutrients.
Yeah. That's definitely a healthier version of eating than most people have. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think about that, and then we do the genetic testing. Do lab testing as well. So I
Okay.
pair the genomics with your current biomarkers.
Okay.
That's very important to
Yeah. I'm
reduce
glad you brought that up.
guesswork. Then I get to see, okay, what do we need to focus on? Are these genes perhaps influencing your cardiovascular health?
Okay.
What are your inflammation markers?
Good.
And so that gives me the signposts
Mhm.
to create a very personalized plan.
Right.
I look at the top concerns and we start there.
So, like for instance, like someone's has certain inflammatory markers. Would you recommend certain supplements that you then track over a certain period of time to see if the markers are reduced, or like how does that actually work?
Yeah, so I'm always food first.
Okay.
If I see that a supplement is warranted,
Okay.
then I would suggest that. But we're always going to be food first. And the
Nice.
thing again that I like with the genomics is that it takes a lot of the supplementation guesswork away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to those B vitamins. I'm
Right.
very careful with the B vitamins. We look at your vitamin D level. We look at, do you need omegas? Might you absorb omega better from a supplement than from food? The food's still going to be beneficial,
Right.
but so I like to keep the supplementation very concise.
Right. Okay.
Plus, it's expensive and it's a pain. It can
Well,
be.
yeah, it's really funny because you and I share the Apeiron's Epigenetics Academy. And
Yeah.
I used to joke, I said, "I spent more money teaching that academy than I earned," because all the students, all the students were like dietitians and doctors
Yeah.
and nurses, and everyone's like, "Have you tried this supplement? Have you tried
Yeah.
this technology? Have you tried this tool?" I'm like, "I haven't. I can
I
get."
know. I know. I know. I did that for a while and
Yeah,
now I've backed off.
that's smart. That's good. Save
Yeah.
yourself money. It's probably better for your health.
Yeah.
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 Your urine's less yellow. It's pissing out
Yes.
your
Yes.
urine.
I can spend more money going to ride animals in other countries.
Right on, right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, people are watching, listening to this, are like, man, this house is amazing. How do I connect with Lori to set up a consult?
Yeah. So my email, geneticallynourished@gmail.com. That's
Okay.
generally the easiest way. Redoing website. I'm in that phase.
Okay.
You can also connect with me on Facebook, Laurie Kaplan, or Instagram, genetically nourished @genetically nourished. And then we have a chat and
Go from there.
see if we're a good fit.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure and include all the social media links and stuff on the show
Okay.
notes for you so people
Okay.
can contact you and see your
Great.
post. Well, this has been fun. It's been nice to chat with you, and I definitely
Yeah.
encourage. Literally, there's not a person I can think of who wouldn't benefit from working with someone like you, so they can get their health care bio-individualized to who they are genetically, their lifestyle, their goals, and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I help translate what's very complex into what's very simple and doable, and it can be integrated into your days seamlessly, and it becomes the foundation of you.
That's awesome, Lori. Great to talk to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael.